Xtreme Country 105.7. You're hanging out with Mitch Kieran, and joining me now on the Xtreme Country Morning Show today from St. Paul, Minnesota, is country music singer-songwriter Mr. Tim Sigler, who just released his new single Whiskey, Wine, and Beer this past Friday. Tim, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I'm very excited to have you. How's it going?
Hey, it's going great, Mitch. Thanks for having me on the program.
Yeah, well, it's very exciting times, also some pretty strange times, to say the least, but nonetheless, it's really great to get that single at the start of your career here, today I just kind of want to go over your career. First off, just take me through the early stages. Tell me how you got your start performing country music.
Yeah, so I've been playing professionally for 20 years now, and I guess I probably started in 1998. Or maybe a couple of years before that, actually, had high school bands and things like that, where we would kind of just fool around and do talent shows and things at church gigs and stuff like that. 1998 was when things started to get a little more serious, so we did like the Minnesota State Fair.
Wow.
Won like the whole state county talent fair show thing, and then kind of gave me a boost of confidence, I guess, and I ended up going to school for law enforcement. I was going to be a police officer.
Wow.
And during that time, I started to take more shows, and I'm like, I got a glimmer of thinking possibly I could do this for a living, but it was still kind of one of those far-fetched, crazy pie-in-the-sky ideas. And, of course, as someone that's going to college to get a degree, wasn't something that my folks were too keen on, but they supported me and ended up finishing my college career, but started playing full-time, and every year it's just grown and grown. Last year was my busiest year I've ever had, and did about 275 shows last year.
Yeah, well, that's just really quite interesting, too, to say the least. Without a doubt, you've been jamming the Midwest out since 1998, playing about 250 shows a year. What were some of your favorite places you ever performed? I know you just mentioned the Minnesota State Fair, to name a few. Yeah,
so I've lived in St. Paul. I kind of call St. Paul home these days, and home base for my music career for sure. And so my favorite places to play have always been things that have kind of, felt like home to me. And, so the Minnesota State Fair is near and dear to me. And then also places like O'Gara's on Snelling and Selby, which, unfortunately was torn down to make room for some apartments and things last year. But that was probably my favorite place. And then some of the West 7th bars downtown by the Xcel Energy Center, like Eagle Street Grill, have always been near and dear to me. That's kind of where when I moved to town and started playing shows, that's kind of where I cut my teeth and kind of learned, I probably at the time learned I probably knew 25, 30 songs, and, a mix of country and rock and roll. I was always a country guy, but I ended up doing a lot of rock and roll and just kind of playing to the crowd as a cover artist, and would just take requests from people. I would play downtown at the Eagle Street Grill after every single Minnesota Wild game for a few seasons.
Nice.
And so I got to learn the ropes of dealing with crowds that were emotional. Either they were super happy and amped up, or sad and pissed, but they were generally always drinking a lot. So I learned how to deal with that type of crowd, and I've learned to love it. And then these are my people type places, and put me in a crowd with a drunken rowdy group, and I'll play requests to them all night long, and a couple thousand songs in the catalog now these days. So things have grown a lot. But the one thing that's always been missing in my musical career has been original music. So this is 20 years of being a cover artist, I guess, and so this is a new page in my career.
Yeah, without a doubt there, and we'll talk about that single in just a little bit. First, I just want to talk about your style of country music. As you mentioned, it's a little bit of blend of country rock as well, but you have very rich, unique vocals, very talented on the acoustic guitar. It just also, at the same time, sounds like real, true country when you're on the mic. How would you describe your style of music?
I would say, I could use a word like North Country, but it's like, what is that? Because it's like there's just really nothing that's been done in the past that would give anyone any kind of a reference point to it. So I've heard some people, use comparisons to other artists out there, whether it's like Gary Allen, maybe Bruce Springsteen meets George Strait type of blend. But I would say it's a good mixture of traditional and honky-tonk country with a little bit more of the Americana Springsteen Mellencamp, grit.
Well, that's safe to say the least. And now, like we were talking about, it's a very interesting time. You're finding ways to stay busy, performing for the fans. But now I want to talk about your debut single off the Texas EP Sessions, just a few days old now, Whiskey, Wine, and Beer. This is just a really cool song. I'm a big fan of it. How did you come up with this song?
Thanks. So this is a song I wrote with one of my former drummers and a great guy named Scott Wenham, great songwriter. He plays for Martin Zeller for most of the shows that he does these days. But Scott used to live in Austin, Texas, and just had a great knowledge of country music. And so when I started, going down the songwriting path as something that I wanted to do at this point in my career, Scott kind of reached out and we just started writing songs, every week together, and just really hit off right off the bat. And so it was something that Scott had come up with, the concept of when he initially pitched the concept of Whiskey, Wine, and Beer. It was more of almost a waltz, slow country song, and then I kind of morphed it into more of a driving, fist-pumping, barroom type anthem, like an anthem in a way, and that's kind of what the hopes were, is something that would translate to that drinking crowd that I know and love so much.
Well, that's fantastic. And to go along with the new song, you got something called the Whiskey, Wine, and Beer Challenge, which is actually really starting to catch on with the fans pretty well. Just talk to me what that's all about.
So, being a full-time musician that has no shows, I'm finding myself sitting in my room surrounded by four walls next to my guitar, and it's like, I've been trying to write songs and stuff, but I'm, more than a songwriter, that's something that's new to me and something that I really enjoy. I'm a performer, and I'm addicted to the performance. I feel completely out of my element by not having, somewhere 3 to 5 shows every week with people, loud, screaming, clapping, bumping into each other, spilling drinks, the whole scene. I miss it so much, and so I've been doing lots of live streams. When the shutdown kind of started on March 16th, kind of St. Patrick's Day time up here in St. Paul's, big parties were planned, and everything kind of just came to a screeching halt. And I think maybe I naively thought that this would be like maybe a 2-week ordeal max. Yeah. So I started right away, like day number 1, before a lot of people were kind of jumping on the streaming thing, because now everyone's doing it. All the pros, from Elton John to the Rolling Stones to Dierks Bentley and everybody. I mean, everyone's streaming now, which is awesome. But I started doing it right away. Like, I think it was on probably March 17th, and I did it every single day for like 14 days in a row. And then they kept extending the shelter-in-place, ordinance and things like that. And definitely musicians and bars being shut down even longer than the general population. So I was like, I can't do this live streaming thing every single day for 2 to 4 hours a night, because I'll lose my voice, which would suck. But I started getting creative. I'm like, I have to find creative ways to be involved with the fans, because I just it's just like everyone else. You get lonely, and you're kind of just trying to survive the mental fatigue of being quarantined like this. It's just it's hard. It's very hard to do, and I think it's hard for extroverted people especially. And being a musician up on stage, it's very hard to be stuck in your apartment. So I wanted to find something fun that would kind of capture the spirit of the bar fans out there that I kind of run with up here in the Twin Cities and around the Midwest. And when the song came out, I just thought, well, this could be the perfect time to encourage people to, because everyone's drinking so much. That's been one of the stories on the news, is like alcohol sales are just through the roof, and it's like, you hear see all the memes about garbage man putting AA pamphlets on people's doors after they pick up the recycling bins full of booze and stuff, booze bottles. So I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and it has been. But it's weird because the challenge has basically goes whiskey, wine, and beer. Yeah. You have to take a shot of whiskey, have a glass of wine, and slam or shotgun a beer, all of which has to be done in the period of one chorus of the song, which is about 20 seconds. And so it's an interesting combination to go from Jack Daniels to a Cabernet to a IPA. It's a very weird. It's best not to think about it. Just do it as fast as you can.
Yeah. Well, now all these folks have that anthem, and with how awesome your concerts are, I can only imagine how awesome that would have to be, to hear it live in a venue for the first time. But unfortunately, as you were mentioning, it's still going to be a while before that might happen due to the coronavirus, and you've kind of just went into it a little bit about kind of how that's affected you. But you still got the Quarantine Cowboy Concert Series going on now, and you still are finding ways to interact with your fans with places like, Thirsty Thursdays, you got Sunday Fun Day, just to name a couple. So far, how's the reception been for these virtual concerts that you're putting on?
It's been great. There's so many fans that I've gotten to know, pretty well over the years. And so, they log on to the show and they say, like, hey, it's very virtual in the sense that they're typing and sending likes and hearts and things like that, versus seeing them face to face. But it helps to kind of just get through the day. And one of the coolest things is I get a lot of messages from people around, the country and even some from around the world, just saying like, hey, life kind of sucks right now. We discovered your music online from a friend, and we now look forward to watching your live streams every night. So, and if I miss a stream or something like that, if I come on late, I get messages from people saying like, hey, we're set up, we're ready to go. We got the popcorn and some drinks lined up. We're casting the screen up to our jumbo 75-inch TV and got you hooked up to the big speakers, and we're ready to have a Thirsty Thursday. Let's do it. So people look forward to it. And it's I think as humans in general, that's something that we all need. It's something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's just fantastic. So far those virtual concerts are great. You have the virtual tip jars going. You have a lot of requests coming in, just blazing fast. So it's really cool to check out for sure. And I definitely respect the grind, providing great country music every week. And but obviously, this is kind of a new period for you with that songwriting aspect now added in with your first single, Whiskey, Wine, and Beer. And that's launched off of the Texas EP Sessions. So what's kind of next for you, Tim? Are you going to try to dabble in a little more songwriting from here now that you got some more downtime?
Yeah, definitely. It's weird because there is more downtime in the sense that I don't have, scheduled shows and things. But in a way, when you talk about the grind and there's a lot of extra hustle that's involved to try to do this, because this is my job. So as a musician, and I don't want to cue the fiddles and the woe is me, type of dialogue here, but, as a musician that's been self-employed, there's been, and this goes up to anyone that's been self-employed as an independent contractor, we've not been able to qualify for any type of, unemployment or anything like that. I guess actually this week is when the federal mandates are supposed to trickle down as far as extending a small amount of unemployment availability to self-employed people. But otherwise, and that it's just something that without trying to get a different job, and that's hard to do when you're supposed to stay at home. And it's been hard for a lot of musicians out there to do anything, and so I'm just one that I'm not going to quit, and I'm not going to. This is all I know how to do. So if I got to work 3 times as many hours, 3 times as hard to try to figure out how to, learn how to live stream with the best of them, then that's what I'm going to do. It's just kind of one of those evolutionary things where it's just like it takes a lot more work to do the streaming shows than it does the regular shows in some sense. So, but yeah, I do plan on doing a lot more songwriting, and with this first EP coming out, the goal is to have it out in the middle of May, and then I'm hoping to have one single come out. Probably the next single is going to be called Honky Tonk Dream, and that's definitely a traditional country song. and it's one of the ones I'm most excited about because it features legendary steel guitar player Lloyd Maines, and a lot of people maybe recognize the name Lloyd Maines from being Natalie Maine's father from the Dixie Chicks, and he was the Grammy Award producer for those guys.
Wow.
And just a steel guitar legend.
That is incredible.
This is honky tonk dream. This traditional country song is a slower one, and it's just Lloyd has steel guitar parts that are just make me cry. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and hoping to have that come out on May 1st.
That is incredible. With May 1st right around the corner, I, for one, cannot wait for that next single. That just sounds like an incredible collaboration, and without a doubt, it's safe to say, I'm really looking forward to the Texas EP session since your first single was an absolute home run. So I can't wait to see what's next in your songwriting career. And before I let you go, Tim, where can our listeners here in Southwest Minnesota find you in the meantime?
Yeah, so if you go to my main website, timsigler.com, that's TIMSIGLER.com, or you can go to sigler.live, so www.sigler.live. That'll get you to my website and then connect you with all the different links. But most of the live streams that I do are going to be on Facebook, on our main Facebook page, and you just type in Tim Sigler and find me on there. But yeah, no one knows what the state of live music is going to be going forward. There's been some scary projections I've heard from some people, and I think every state's going to have a different response to how they do things. Mm-hmm. There's rumors that we might be able to do some shows in like Iowa, for example, as early as next month.
Wow.
But it sounds like a lot of the stuff here in Minnesota might be a little bit more delayed. And so in the meantime, I'll just keep doing these live streams as much as I can, and taking requests and putting out new music and writing new music to start the path, hopefully later this winter, next winter, to doing another album, which will probably piggyback on top of the EP, the Texas EP sessions, and then kind of have a more of a full-length album that would come out hopefully around Christmas.
Well, that all sounds so awesome, Tim. Again, thank you so much for joining me on the Xtreme Country Morning Show, and best of luck in your future endeavors. But again, this is just a really cool stage to see you do in your career with the EP, as well as the future songwriting you got and the virtual concerts going on. Just wishing you the best moving forward, and heck, I'm gonna have to try to track you down, check out one of your shows live, because they just look like a ton of fun. But again, Tim Sigler, thank you so much for joining me on the morning show.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. And when they let the bars and clubs open again, come on out to a show, and we'll do the whiskey, wine, and beer challenge together. It'll be a good time.
I am looking forward to that. I'm holding you to that one, Tim. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Take care, you guys.
Tim Sigler on the Xtreme Country Morning Show, and now for the first time, playing you his debut single off the Texas EP sessions. Here's Whiskey, Wine, and Beer on Xtreme Country 105.7.
Wasn't looking to start a fight. It's too wrong to make things right. Yes, I know I've caused this misery. She go low and I go high. Never could see eye to eye. She left me in the best of company. A shot of whiskey, wine, and beer, only the things I hold dear. They've always got my back when the memory reappears. Living out a country song, and we never last for long. She's the reason why we're here, drinking whiskey, wine, and beer. glass and sing along. Cheers to her, she's the reason we're all here. Drinking whiskey, wine, and beer, only three things I hold dear. They've always got my back when her memory reappears. Living